Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, Principal, Deputy Principal, Senior Masters and Mistresses, and respected teachers. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present my mini-class investigation. The topic for research is the effectiveness of the teachers assuming the role of writing instructor. Today's presentation will be broken up into three major parts. First, I will start by identifying the problem, then reviewing what other literatures have tried to do to tackle the problem of improving students' writing, and how I went about implementing those strategies in my current lower 6 students. When I began teaching sociology, I put a lot of emphasis on teaching all of the materials and less time focusing on their writing skills. What I tended to do was simply give them past year paper questions, a one-off class on the Peel method, and a lot of time spent on essay feedback. One major problem is that the sociology syllabus often fails to emphasize the development of writing skills as a form of learning outcome. It most often concentrates on knowledge and understanding of sociological concepts, theories, and methods. Things like awareness, understanding and appreciation, and skills like that are often highlighted. Hence, no formal aim addressing writing as an important part of the syllabus. For the most part, writing is made implicit. Then why should writing be an important learning outcome in sociology? It is an important tool to demonstrate critical thought. It also helps students with deep thinking and learning. And through writing, students are able to interpret the content rather than simply describe it. From the literature review, there are several ways in which the sociology teacher can assume the role of a writing instructor. For example, assignments that emphasize writing as the main objective, graded writing assignments as usual, well-crafted writing exercises, and also try to implement writing in a variety of ways, not just focused on testing. More importantly, is to guide students through a set of pre-planned steps or process in the preparation of written work. With this in mind, I translated these roles into formal and informal teaching strategies. The formal writing assignments is by utilizing past year paper questions and using the Peel method to show what elements of point, explain, example, and link the students might be missing in their formal writing assessments. However, if you were given lots of formal writing assignments, it is extremely time-consuming, and hence there is a very important need to develop a variety of writing assessments that stimulate critical thinking. Some of the informal strategies involved class minutes. So at the end of the class, the students will have to develop their own understanding of the content. We also have course dictionaries, so I make the students make a list of all the sociological keywords with the definitions, so that this would help them in their section A and part 1. Question 1A, which asks them to define the sociological words worth 2 marks. And something that I recently also found out is by using open-ended questions that require students to formulate their own criticism of the theory and questions on what they want to know. Using a thematic analysis to identify and analyze from students' essay writing, class minutes, and those open-ended questions. This shows that students have improved their higher order thinking, critical class discussions, application of theories, and ultimately essay writing. Additionally, it has increased students' confidence in participating in class discussions and answering questions. However, there might be other contributing factors, not just simply writing, that was able to improve their skills. Some of them might be because they have obviously more increased knowledge. They have learning through discussion, so they learn from each other. And lastly, writing across the curriculum movement. So this is something that was talked about deeply in educational papers. They talk about how writing should be a curriculum that is emphasized in all the other departments. And they call it the writing across the curriculum movement. Evaluation. There are some discussions, however, that we need to there are sometimes discussions that does not encourage deep learning. So we also need to identify those problems, because not all discussions will lead to that. Not all for, does not automatically signal that a discussion is taking place. Not all forms of discussion lead to deep engaged learning, and sometimes even when they write homework essays, they just tend to simply describe and recall all the information rather than trying to challenge themselves to form their own criticism. So that might be one thing that undermines the results. What's the next step? There are a few suggestions. Number one is to forge linkages between other departments, such as general paper and psychology, who teach writing for the purpose of creating mutual understandings about how students can progress in writing. For example, some of my students have told me that the PEEL method is very similar to what they have in GP and psychology. So maybe when the teachers get together, we can reinforce each other's thoughts on how writing should be done. And we also, I might also want to try this thing called speculative writing, which doesn't emphasize on developing writing skills per se, but it uses writing more importantly to improve and clarify thinking. So what the students would be doing is just free writing based on a topic that I will give them maybe for about 5 minutes. So that will help improve their critical thinking as well. And lastly is to shift the emphasis in sociological writing in terms of this suggestion from the educational theory. So the old paradigm would just be more to recalling and describing, whereas the new paradigm is focused on processes of critical thought, as well as cognitive functions of written work. So it's a more deeper understanding of what writing should be in sociology. Thank you very much for listening.